It's pouring with rain outside, so welcome once again to the spare room. And today we'll be looking at a topic I've touched on before, and it's this. Why do so many members of the TQ cult, and when I say that I mean the hardcore members of the trans, queer and non-binary communities, the people for whom they think their feelings are more important than reality, why are so many of those either teachers or teaching assistants? I have my own thoughts on this, and of course the vast majority of teachers are good, honest, hard-working people. But there are some, and I think this includes the TQ cult members, who go through education, and when the time comes that they go out into the real world where all the adults live, they simply can't hack it and retreat back into education, because today we'll meet a number of people, none of whom would last 5 minutes on a production line or a building site. However, when it comes to the cult, I think there's an added dimension, because children won't ask questions in the way which adults do. They simply don't have the capacity. And of course, a classroom is a captive audience, with which the teacher or teaching assistant can either try and normalise their experience or just straight up brainwash the children. Because as we'll see, the actual education process, that's a byproduct. That's not important. What we'll see in every clip is the teachers and teaching assistants. It's all about them. It's all me, me, me. So we'll begin with a trans woman who's in a dilemma.
I pride myself on being a teacher who's very open about her life. And one of the things I'm very open about is my sexuality. I have a trans flag, a bi flag, a non-binary flag, all on my desk at my work. But there's one thing I'm not open about, and it's being poly. And today that actually became something I had to worry about for the first time. See, the kids are interviewing us teachers as a part of learning how to write profiles on others. They'll soon be doing it with each other, but they're starting with the teachers so they can all work together on one subject. And one of the kids on Tuesday is going to ask me if I have a partner. And the answer is yeah. And I have another one too. And I don't know how to handle that conversation, because while I know that the kids are more accepting of things like homosexuality, bisexuality, all of that, polyamory is not in the conversation. It's not something that is talked about. And I worry not only would this be something that might lead to rumors that I am cheating on my partner or that I am a swinger or something like that, but would also just totally derail the class.
First up, I'll say he is actually quite convincing. But when it comes to having the trans pride flag and the normal pride flag and the bisexual pride flag on his desk, I have to ask, who's that for? Because many years ago, I used to do some youth work, and one of the first things that I learned was if you have an adult who's trying to normalise talking about sex, in particular talking about their own sex life with children, that is grooming 101. Because imagine a gay male teacher beginning the day saying, "Hello, children. I need to let you know I fucking love sucking cock. I cannot get enough of it." Or a straight male teacher saying, "Hello, class. Before we begin, I need you to know I watch really depraved pornography, the sick shit you can only find on the dark web." Those people would be arrested, but because this guy's trans, it's okay. I'm the victim. And talking about homosexuality and bisexuality being accepted, that's a great thing. If it's among the students, among that peer group, not the teacher trying to force it down their throats in more ways than one. And the polyamorous thing, if that works for him, that's absolutely fine. But he doesn't need to tell the children about it. He could just say, when it comes to my relationship, that's private. Fucking job done. But in reality, we all know he cannot wait to tell the students about being in a polyamorous relationship. Because that way it'll get round the other teachers and the parents that the thing that escaped from the circus is in a non-conventional relationship. And that way either he can be stunning and brave or play the victim. Next up, we have a non-binary teacher doing the very non-binary thing of having a pointless moan.
Respectfully, there just have to be more options for non-binary titles for teachers. Because I'm subbing lately And then the person I'm subbing for, I shadowed her for a day first, and she's like, what do you want them to call you? I don't know. So I've been going by Miss Webb, but that is very not it. That's not it. Mr. Webb, not right either. And I'm just not a fan of mix, I think is how you say it. It's not it. I feel like the closest, and like, but I feel silly saying, I'm like, just call me Teacher Webb, because the realty is that I just want to be called my first name. But you know what I mean? I don't know, I guess this is like non-binary teachers, like, what do you go by?
There need to be more options for non-binary teachers. I've got another option. Stay away from kids, you fucking weirdo, and get a job somewhere else. And it's the standard non-binary narcissism. She can't use Miss or Mr. or even Mix, because that doesn't reflect just how bloody special she is. That there's no one else on the face of the earth who compares to her. She needs the children to worship her as a deity. And as for using first names, well, the reason that teachers use their title and their surname is to establish that they are an authority figure. This person wants to address the children like they address each other, because that's where mentally she probably is. Next up, we have another trans woman. The first one was quite convincing. This one, not so much.
A 5th grade teacher was just fired in Cobb County, just outside of Atlanta, Georgia, for reading a book to her class that, quote unquote, considers gender something other than binary. That's right, in Cobb County, just outside of Atlanta, Georgia, Katie Renderly, a 5th grade teacher, was fired because she read the book My Shadow is Purple to her class. Recently in Georgia, they have passed laws that forbid teachers from establishing political viewpoints. And in a tribunal, they held up the book and put it on trial. And they determined that because the book uses they, them pronouns, it considers gender something other than binary. And because the book does that, and because she read that book to her classroom, it is worth firing her for doing that.
So, a law is passed which states that teachers cannot bring their personal politics into the classroom, in particular, that they cannot dispute the fact that sex is binary. Human beings only come in male and female. And then a teacher takes it upon herself to bring her personal politics into the classroom and dispute the fact that sex is binary, thus breaking the law and losing her job. What's the fucking issue here? This is no different to if you work for a company with a zero tolerance to drugs policy. If you go into work on Monday morning and start shooting up in the canteen, or if you're a taxi driver who drinks 10 pints of lager and crashes into a bus stop, you'll lose your job. It's the endless victimhood mentality. Also, I think that guy should spend less time on the false breasts and sort out the gap in his teeth, because you could drive a fucking lorry through that. Next up, we'll see a non-binary teaching assistant who describes herself as a preschool trans.
I go by my legal name at work, which honestly gets a little confusing because there is a preschool child in my class that has the same name as I do. So whenever they're being reprimanded or called to contribute in class in some way, I always turn my head thinking that the teacher is speaking to me. And so the kids are really fascinated by the fact that we have the same name, even though we've been together in this classroom for 3 months. So we'll make jokes about it, or say that I'm the teacher one and she's the kid one, or I'll pretend to think that someone is talking to me when they're very clearly talking to this actual 4-year-old child. I was talking to this one kid the other day who last week had asked me if I was a boy, and she was commenting on the fact that this other kid and I have the same name. I said, yep, there's 2 of us. And she said, yeah, but you're the boy one and she's the girl one. And I just agreed with her, because even though I do not consider myself a boy, it's really nice to have my gender nonconformity acknowledged in some way.
She has the same name as a 4-year-old child, and this is a cause of much amusement. Now, I can understand a 4-year-old child finding that funny, but this is a grown woman who apparently is also acting up in class to generate a sense of confusion. Now, if you need to validate your identity, from a 4-year-old child your gender non-conformity, what does that say about you? How pathetic is your life? And not only that, but then to need to share it on the mental illness factory that is TikTok so all the other crazies can comment on it. What a sad state of existence. There's one more clip, and I've really left the worst until last.
Right, here's some things my students have said/done since I came out and changed my teacher name.
Why'd you do that?
My new name is going to be Mix K, and I go by they and she pronouns. Yay! Woo!
This is the worst.
Excuse me, Miss K, I need... It's Mix K! I did not ask them to do that.
Pretty sure you did.
Yeah, Mr. is for boys and Miss is for girls.
Correct!
Well, I go by Mix Lovebug. What does that make me?
I'll start by answering her question. What does that make her? In my opinion, she's an attention-seeking, fat, ugly retard. And the rest of the story is absolute bullshit. The 5th graders won't be whooping and hollering because she's changed her pronouns. For them, what they're having for lunch will be far more important. And if they did correct a teacher, it's because she is an authority figure. Someone who is clearly abusing that authority. Because, for me, if you don't know something as basic as your own gender, are you really in a position to educate others? And the behaviour of all 5 people we've seen has been rather bizarre. In fact, let's call it what it is. It's fucking child abuse. Although that last clip, I think there was an attempt at humour. It didn't work. Although I have to say, this video, I've not done much of it myself. That's the end of this very, very dull video. Before I go, I've noticed many people have commented saying that on the YouTube videos, the like counter isn't working. Now, I can see the likes at my end. I haven't disabled it. That's YouTube's algorithm, and I believe it's because I'm not spreading the message. If you enjoyed this video, and God knows why you would have done, please do like and subscribe if you haven't already, and as ever, thanks for watching. It's pouring with rain once again, so welcome bollocks once again. When it comes to the cult, though, I think there's another element, because basically children are thick. They don't have the same critical well, they can speak better than I can. In reality, we all know he can't wait to share with the kids that he's in a polyamorous relationship. So that it goes round fuck it. I've got a suggestion for So the issue is, a law's been passed which says that phone's on the piss. What does that make her? An incredibly challenging wank. I've had this phone now for several months. I record 3 or 4 times a week, and I've just found out it's fucking gesture controlled. This video. Several people have commented saying that they can't do the fucking bollocks. One last thing. I don't really enjoy recording in the spare room. I'd rather be out among the nature because I think the background's more interesting. However, I found one advantage. I've recorded this entire video and I'm not wearing trousers.